A very warm welcome to you all to this student webinar run and hosted by Zest for Life. My name is Anne Gary. I'm a nutritional therapist and business mentor to other nutrition professionals. And the title for today is Bring Your Business Plan to Life. So our objectives in sharing this information with you today are that we want to help you to understand that firstly you have a choice about the type of practitioner that you want to be. We're going to encourage you to start with what you want and to build your business around the life that you want, and then help you to apply some simple numbers and then fill in the gaps. The rest of it, the formal parts of the business plan, will then be much easier and will fit into place, and you'll end up with a business plan that has some real connection to reality, and it won't simply be an academic exercise or something to do to impress an investor, for instance. And let's just go through some introductions. So Zest for Life, who we are. Zest for Life are business mentors for the nutrition profession. Our very, very clear mission is that we're here to support nutritional therapists to become successful business owners as well. We know that you've massively invested in becoming the best nutrition practitioner that you can be. But in order for that to become a reality, for you to be able to connect with clients, to help more people, you do need to take on board the foundations and basic requirements of being able to run a successful business. And in helping practitioners to do this, we also are fulfilling our secondary objective, which is to help grow the nutrition profession. The world really does need more of us, and there aren't enough of us to go around. And we really want to see the profession really grow and strengthen and become a much more mainstream option for people. So that's who we are. That's a picture of who we are. The top line are the directors. This is Anne in Ireland, Wendy, myself and Carolyn, and some of our coaches and trainers. And a little bit more about me and my background. So I qualified as a nutritional therapist about just over 10 years ago now with CNELM. And I launched off into practice with not really much understanding of how I was going to do this and make a business out of it. But I did have a very, very strong evangelical passion about really conveying this information that I'd learned to as wide an audience as possible. I was really, really, really fired up actually with wanting to tell everybody, anybody that would listen, about some of the simple things I'd learned that I knew could change their life. And so that set me on a path in a particular direction. But I'll say perhaps a little bit more about my journey, about how I did that. So this is where we're going to start. We want you to have an inspiring vision for your own practice and your business. And there are two important questions that we need to answer before we can really start to dig deeper in looking at, at a real practical level, what does this look like? So the first question, which you may not have addressed before, I don't know, you just may have a little bit of a thing going on in your head, and there may be some unresolved issues. And so I'm going to spell it out for you. So the question is, who do I want to be as a nutrition professional? And knowing and having permission to know that actually there isn't just one option. There isn't just one model of being a nutrition professional. Especially today, there are lots of different versions and varieties. And generally speaking, they fall on a spectrum. There are many variations in the way you can practice, and the important message here is that they all have equal value. And I'm just going to outline this spectrum for you so you can start to think about where you are and not have this dilemma in your head about what you want to be and how you want to practice. So I'm going to start at this end of the spectrum. So the functional medicine, clinical, very detailed, pathway focused approach, getting to the root causes and working with some maybe long-term chronic health issues, maybe things like chronic fatigue, MS, perhaps Lyme's disease, Alzheimer's even, where you're working with clients over a really extended time frame, over a long period of time, possibly, definitely months, maybe years. So we have practitioners. So as an organisation, we support a wide range of practitioners out in the field, and we have practitioners who are operating at that end as well. And actually, when I qualified, I did my training with CNELM, and it's a very academic and very evidence scientific based degree. It's now a master's, and I was definitely influenced by that, and I was definitely right up here at this end, really with a thought that that's where I wanted to practice. But I was aware, actually, through the insights of the principal of CNEL at the time, so that's Kate Neal, she's still there, that of equal value is a way of practicing, with general members of the general population, really around the area of lifestyle, behavioural changes, dietary education, and prevention. And if you think about the big issue that the health of the world is dealing with, the resolution, long-term resolution doesn't lie here. The long-term resolution lies in more people, really being on the right page here and changing their behavioural patterns. And during my training, I did feel like there was a hierarchy. I felt like, this is where every, sort of, ambitious practitioner wants to end up. Surely everybody wants to practice here, and maybe some are practicing here because they're just on their way here. And I have since learned that's not true. Some of us are absolutely destined to fulfill our ambitions and our visions for our business very firmly at this end of the spectrum, and influencing the lives of perhaps many more people than is possible at the other end, and that it's of equal value. You can build very successful businesses at this end, and as practitioners we can hold our heads up and not feel that there's any criticism of being at that side of the spectrum rather than being at the functional end. I say that because my training got me here, but actually in reality I practiced really from fairly early on in this area. And my route into building a thriving business was joining Zest for Life. At the time, we did a lot of training in supporting people to run group face-to-face programs. It was 10 years ago. Things have moved quite a lot since then. But, we didn't really have Facebook. Well, we definitely didn't. We didn't have online programs. But and because I had this really desire to get the message out to more people, I was very engaged by that process. So I fast-tracked the training and very quickly launched myself off in my local area in Buckinghamshire, and I found myself running 3 weekly programs, each with about 20 people, one a little bit less. I had 53 people, and I was working through a weekly program doing exactly this. And it was the most rewarding period of my professional career, one of the most. Actually, the most rewarding period is where I am now, doing what I'm doing, working with other practitioners. But this was really amazing. I'm going to say more about it as we go through, but I'm giving you this context to know that there's no judgment about where you decide to be, but you've got to be true to yourself and know what's right for you. It could be that you start here and you transition to here if you decide you want to do that. It could be you deliberately start here and stay here. It could be that you want to practice here. And of course, there's shades of grey. It doesn't have to be one extreme or the other. There can be some moderate areas where you kind of sit in the middle and you have a foot in both. Okay, so that's my first point. You can tell I feel strongly about it. But question number 2 is equally important when you're creating a business plan and making it meaningful, bringing life to it. You really do need to know, who do you want to work with? Who am I here to serve? The answer is not everybody who wants to work with me or everyone who wants to improve their health and well-being. It can't be that. It just can't be so general, because, we'll say why. Clients have particular sets of issues. And in order to connect with them, we need to know what they are. We need to connect with our clients on an emotional level. We absolutely need to be specific about that. And trying to put some meaningful message together to connect with, you know, all of the female population of the UK, whatever age they are. And, you know, even the very best wordsmith and a copywriter and marketing person would not be able to achieve that. But if you're working with people at a particular life stage or that share a particular set of issues, you can get right into the nitty-gritty of what is going to connect with them. I'm going to give you an example. You use their language. You've got to avoid using jargon. Your marketing mantra, you know, the thing that trips off your tongue when you introduce yourself, or how you portray yourself on your website or on your Facebook page, does take quite a bit of crafting. And this is a good example. It happens to be my ideal client group. I use elements of this, and I might say something like this. You know, if someone says, what do you do? Or I'm trying to introduce myself in a workshop, or even online or on my website, I might say, I love what I do. I've got the best job in the world. I work with women over 50 who want to improve their health, boost their energy, and learn to love their bodies again. I do this using nutrition science combined with motivational coaching, helping you to look and feel amazing every day. My clients tell me that I have transformed their lives. Would you like to join them? And it's really not an overstatement. You know, I've had, from that initial group program that I ran, it's happened several times since, but, you know, I had a knock on the door, a lady who had been on my program with a big bunch of flowers and a bottle of wine, actually in tears. And, you know, she was there to thank me. She was trying to thank me. And she said, you've changed my life. I've got my life back. And I can't thank you enough. Now, you know, that's really significant. That really touches you. And working with people in the way that you want to work, getting the sort of feedback, you know, in response to that, whether it's working with somebody with MS to keep them out of a wheelchair, or whether it's, you know, working with someone, as was this particular example, who had been 2 years since she'd had her children and just had lost herself. She really, you know, had lost herself in her children and her family, and this got her life back. But in order to get there, you do need to identify and be clear about who those people are. So why am I talking about this in the context of a business plan? Well, it really is the starting point of you then thinking about what your practice looks like. And you don't need to panic, because I know what we're like. I know what nutritional therapists are like. We like to be perfect. We like to have everything precisely clear, defined, and we don't like things changing or being a bit ambiguous. That's just how we are. But however, when you're making decisions like this about marketing, we have to relax a little bit and accept the fact that you are going to change and evolve as a practitioner. And all you need to decide at the beginning is where you're going to start. What's your starting point? Who shall I start with as my first ideal client group? Recognizing I'm going to learn some things. I can't predict what that is. And in the end, I might evolve and transition and start working and work with a different group. But that's okay. I'll make a start. Rather than, you know, rabbit in the headlights, procrastinate, I just don't know, go around in circles, and 6 months down the line, you haven't decided and you're stuck. Better to make a decision and know that you can very easily change and adapt your plan at a later point. And know that you'll definitely change your plan. You definitely will. So start with your best guess and be flexible as you build your experience. And a good example of this is Magda, who is a practitioner that's worked with us for a few years. When she first started, which was straight out of her training, she thought she wanted to work around healthy aging. She was in her mid-40s. She knew lots of other parents like her, lots of other mothers who were concerned about the aging process. And that seemed like a really good starting point. But in reality, in her first 6 months or so, what happened is she was getting contacts from people that she knew who were also mothers, but talking about getting help with family nutrition. Not how do I stay looking young and gorgeous, but how do I feed my family? So to respond to that, I supported Magda in kind of evolving and transitioning, and she created a program with our support called Feed Your Family Right. And it was a 4-week lunchtime program she ran in her home, and it was very successful, very, very successful. And so she then became, the nutrition go-to person to support family well-being. And it was an easy evolution to make. And she couldn't have really got there straight away. She didn't know how it was going to pan out. And she loved the experience of doing that. So don't worry, your plan will change, but just start with something. Okay, so now we're going to get into more specifics and talk about, the actual framework of your business plan. And we're going to really focus on starting with what you want. You need to be clear. If you don't start with what you want, you are going to end up with something that you don't want. And when that's your own business, it doesn't feel too good. We want you to build your business around the life you want. I'm going to use my own example of how not to do it. So when I launched the group programs that I referred to, the response was bigger than I expected. I didn't expect to run 3 programs. I'd originally planned to run 1 evening and 1 morning, but we had too many people. We had to create another evening program to accommodate the people who wanted to sign up for the 1 evening program I was offering. So I had 2 evening programs and 1 morning program. And the programs were 10 weeks long. And once, I knew straight away, really, once I'd got through my first week, that this was going to be difficult. I had school-age children. My husband travels a lot. And so doing 2 weekday evenings where I have to be out of the house by 5:30 to set up the room. The program started at 7. At that time when kids needed picking up from sports stuff and then feeding, dinner, homework and bed on 2 weekdays, it was a real stretch. I had to be very creative, call in lots of favors, and it caused me a lot of stress. So I had to review it. Now, had I done this at the beginning and looked at how I was going to build the business around the life that I wanted, I would never have made that mistake. So don't make that same mistake. Don't build your business on something where you're so eager to get the clients and build the business that your own needs are not really considered. Don't do that. It's not the smart way to do it. Build your business around the life you want. So these are the kind of decisions you need to consider and really be specific about. So how many days a week do you want to work? Are you, you're the CEO, you can decide. Are you going to do 5 days? Do you want a day off a week when you're not working? Neither with clients nor in the office. And I define working, it's not all client-facing work. So all of that is in the category of, how many days a week are you working? How many hours a day? Are you working a normal full day? Are you working, a 9 to 5, an 8 till 4, or are you working around a school day and you're doing 9:30 to 2:30? It doesn't matter the answer. It doesn't, there's no right or wrong. You just decide. And what's your view on evenings and weekends? Take a view now. Don't fall into something like I did. You might think, well, 1 evening is okay. You might think, actually, no, I don't want any evening work. It doesn't suit me. It's difficult. It's stressful. At the moment, right now, it doesn't work. I'm not going to do evenings. And, you might think the same for weekends, or you might say, actually, Saturday mornings once a month are good. I'll do that. What about holidays? Are you going to do term time only? How many weeks holiday where you down tools and you don't work at all? You have your out of office on your machine, and there's no active work going on. And make it fit, make it work with your family, and no one's judging. If how many weeks holiday when you're not working, it doesn't mean you're away, but when you're not working, that might be you take all the main holidays because your children are at school. Right, that's where I was when I started in practice. I now have an empty nest, so it doesn't matter now to me, but I still like to have breaks and go away, so I would still factor in the holidays, but I don't have to worry so much about the working day and you know, some of those other considerations. So know that it's going to change, but make it work for your life right now. Now, step 2 is a biggie. Step 2 is acknowledging that there are more ways to generate income than just having a clinic. I know you know this now. You know, a few years ago, some people didn't really know it. I know you know this now, but you know, be very clear and work through all the different ways in which you can generate revenue, categorize them, and critically assess whether you think it's for you in your first year, or whether maybe it's for a subsequent year. I would recommend that you choose at least one secondary revenue stream in addition to your one-on-one clinic when you get started. It's very helpful for marketing. It widens your reach and helps to build your business more quickly, to have a secondary income stream. But you know, you decide what's going to be best. I'm just going to explain what I mean by these ones that are up here on the screen. These are the primary ones that are available. There are lots of others, but you know, these are the common ones that we see. So we have talks and workshops. They can be created as revenue generators, but recognize they're also good marketing exercises as well. Some talks you might put a lower ticket price on it because it's good marketing, but other times you might want to do it as a revenue generator. So they can be revenue generators. I wouldn't put them high up on the list as being, you know, significant revenue generators in their own right. I often see them really more as a marketing support mechanism. Online, however, is definitely a growing big area of additional revenue generation. There's so many different ways in which you can use your knowledge and use it to construct programs and ways of supporting people online. There's some really creative ways of doing that, some really easy ways of doing that. We've made it very easy, in fact, with our resources, our ready-made resources, where you can easily build online programs and put them together in a way that you can market them online. So technically, on a technology front, there aren't the barriers that there used to be. There's some very easy technical platforms you can use to do it. So don't be put off online if you think, I haven't got a clue where to start. I quite like the idea of it, but I don't know how to do it, therefore I won't include it. Don't put the absence of not knowing, don't make that a barrier. If you think that it could fit in very well with your life and how you want your life as a practitioner to be, if you think it could fit in well, you know, can seriously consider it as a revenue stream. And you know, then the commitment has to be to find out how to do it. But just take it from me, it's actually straightforward. It's not as complex and difficult as you might think. Weekly group programs, so group, really that's a group model, and there's a growing interest, there's a growing number of people who are doing group program support, and both those can either be done face-to-face in that traditional model that I ran many years ago, or doing it online. I also do these kind of group programs online as well. So you've got a number of options, but it's a one-to-many model, which definitely ticks the box of getting your message out to more people. You know, if you've got that evangelical sort of drive that I had, it's a very nice way of getting the message out to a wider audience. So weekly, or not necessarily weekly, but some kind of group program, face-to-face or online, could be an option. Collaborations, and let me explain what I mean by that. So joint ventures or collaborations. This is where you identify another type of practitioner, another modality, non-competitive, who you feel there's a synergy in working with. Good examples would be, you know, yoga studio, Pilates studio, very good examples where you're not competing. Same kind of people might be going to those classes as might be interested in your services. And let's take an example of a really well-established yoga studio business. They've been in business for years. They've got an email list of maybe 5,000 people who have been customers and clients of theirs. They've got very loyal client base, and you're just starting out. You know, you can see the attraction there, can't you? If you had a way of connecting with that studio in such a way that you can add value to them And at this, you know, in exchange, you get exposure to their client base, their ready-made client base. It has to be a win-win for both. It never works if you're just trying to go in there and, you know, hijack their clients. That doesn't work. But we've got some really nice, very simple ways of presenting projects, presenting initiatives that would result in a win-win. An example would be to run a 30-day restore and rebalance nutrition program for people who practice yoga, who want to improve their yoga practice. You know, so you can use the right words and terminology that fit with that. There's a very simple way of executing it through an online process. We've got all the ready-made resources to support that lovely program in a lovely food plan. We invite all the yoga teachers to join for free, promote it through their classes. You put handouts out, you start on a certain day, and hopefully, Bob's your uncle, you'll have 30 people working on the program with you. Your price point would be under £100 for participation, and you'd split the fee in some way with the yoga studio. So I'm just giving you insights into, you know, new ways that you might not have thought of. And again, it might be that you like the idea of working collaboratively with others in your community, but you might not know the exact how to. Don't let that stop you putting it on a plan. Yeah, think, yes, that would really work for me. I'm that kind of a person. I like that collaborative idea. I'll include it on my plan, and then I'll go and find out how to do it, you know, later. And the corporate, that's a more straightforward one, you know, using nutrition to promote wellness within an employee base, within corporates. Well-trodden path, but there are now some newer, interesting ways of being able to make a difference to employee well-being that go beyond the, you know, the lunch and learn kind of lecture style approach. And again, they're interactive and online, and they are simple to implement now with the technology that's available, and we can support you in that too. So there, oh, and the pile of books is books and writing. So you might want to write books or articles and get paid for that. So lots of options, and I think the challenge would be to choose one or two, definitely not more than two, additional revenue streams to support your one-on-one practice, and to build that in to creating your business plan. So now we're moving down another level. We're taking your client, your one-to-one client sessions, and we're getting more detail and understanding how much of that you want to do. So we're going to end up with a spreadsheet with some numbers in it. So we have to go from, you know, something that seems nebulous that we don't know about down to something much more specific. So this is the thinking process to get to some realistic numbers for your business plan and some ballpark numbers. If you were to think about seeing 4 client sessions a week, and I'm talking about client sessions as opposed to new clients, because we're working on the premise that you will be offering programs of support to your clients. That's a whole nother topic, but let's assume that you are. And so people don't sign up for one-offs, they sign up for a program. And so your mix of client sessions in a week will be a mixture of new clients and you know, sessions with clients who are on an ongoing program. I don't like calling them follow-ups really, because they're you know, part of an integrated ongoing program. So if you were saying, if you thought, well, 4 a week, I'd be happy with 4 sessions a week, be a good start. They'd be a mix of first appointments for new clients and, you know, their returning clients. That would add up to 17 a month, and that would be a good start. If you went to 6 a week, I know it still doesn't sound many, but that's 26 sessions a month. You start to feel busy. You would actually. You'd start to feel busy with 6 a week. If you went to 10 a week consistently, you know, you'd feel very busy. I guarantee. Again, the numbers don't sound high, but this is good for you to sanity check how you're going to build up your business plan. You'd feel very busy with 10 a week on a consistent basis. So you will, of course, build this up. You won't go to any of these numbers from day one. It'll be an incremental process in your first year. The next step is to decide how much you want to earn. Difficult, I know, but you do need to get clear on it. you know, what your overall target is, because what we're going to do is then hopefully what we'll do is put those two together. You know, the activity, how many clients you think you want to see and what that activity looks like compared to how much you want to earn. Do they match up? Or have you created something with an aspiration to earn a certain income and it actually doesn't stack up? So we'll do that, putting it together in a moment. So the answer to the question of how much do you want to earn is never as much as possible. It's always a very specific number. It's not circa, it's not a range. I'll show you, we'll get very specific. And again, I'm just going to give you ballparks. So from our own experience of working with students, you know, who are moving into setting up their practice in their first year, I'm going to tell you some truisms. So if you're available for full-time work, so if you are working full-time in nutrition and, you know, you are 100% focused. So if you're not distracted, if you're not, you know, if you really, really are committed, focused, working full-time in your practice from day one, then it absolutely is possible to scale up to about £3,000 to £4,000 a month income within your first 12 months. Absolutely possible to do that. The reality is most people are not working full-time. Most people are not committing 100%. And, you know, can't, you know, there's other things that they're doing and, you know, it's not the only thing they're working on. But I am aware that there's a growing number of what I call career practitioners who are quite young, who are coming in and it's really their first real career, you know, who could be 100% focused and achieve this. So I wanted to give you that as a starting point. But if you're working part-time, and that will be probably the majority, whether it's 4 days in your business, 2.5, shorter school days, whatever, then your income will be proportional to the time input. So, you know, you need to factor that in. So if you're kind of working you know, 2/3 of a full-time working week, you know, then factor that into what you could expect to earn. So I'm going to take you through a real example shortly, so this will make more sense. But first, I want to finish step number 5. Step number 5 is you need to know why you're doing it. And I don't just mean, you know, the answer being you need to bring some money in, or you need to, you know, put food on the table, or of course you've got to earn money. It goes deeper than that, because we as practitioners, as human beings, are a certain type of person. We have not chosen to move into the profession of nutrition to, you know, earn 20,000 a month. You know, we haven't done it for money, for monetary reasons. We've done it for other reasons. So that makes it slightly unusual when we're looking at, you know, what it's all about. But here are some of the examples of what we see very commonly as being the underlying really, really big why for what's motivating you, let's say, in your first year. It could be that it is very genuinely that you want to make a difference in the world. It could be that you feel personally it is now payback time. Payback time for me. I've invested money and time. This is now my 3rd year or my 4th year. I'm going to finally get my, you know, certificate, my insurance. I'm good to go. So now it's payback time. You know, I need to see a return on that investment of time as much as money, you know, for all the training. It is not going to be, and continue to be, you know, an expensive hobby. That expression has been used quite a lot, but, you know, it just can't be. Other very firmly and emotionally connected reasons could be, you know, that I really want to contribute to the family finances again like I used to. You know, before this I worked in a job and I had an income and I contributed. And for the last few years, you know, I've not only not contributed, I've been a drain on family finances. So I want that to change now. It might be that you're motivated to really prove to your partner, your family, but maybe yourself, that you can make a business out of it. You know, maybe there's been a little doubt from people around you, you know, asking you questions, and you have to prove something. Maybe it's as simple as you just want to be able to pay for nice holidays every year. Maybe that's what you're motivation your big why is. Or, I mean, this actually, the last one does underline many of the conversations I have with practitioners, which is about, you know, really wanting to feel validated and recognised as a successful practitioner. You know, that is a very big driver for wanting to achieve financial success and wanting your business plan to, you know, become a reality. So, you know, explore that, really question and challenge yourself about what it is that, you know, is really directly relevant to you, because it will help you when you hit challenges and bumps in the road. It will help you to go back to that and remember. So step 6, I'm going to take you through a very simple financial model to demonstrate what I've just talked about. So we're taking an example. It's a made-up example, but it actually could be. We have a number of practitioners who are pretty much in a very similar category. And, you know, we could be describing them, but, you know, names have changed. So, so let's look at this. So we've called her Sally. She's a mum of two school-age children, aged 10 and 8. And she's already defined what's important to her. So the 4 things that are important to her is that she works a school day. She's defined that as 9 till 2:30. She's going to work 1 evening a week, but no weekends. She's going to take all the main school holidays as non-working time. So that's 10 weeks. But she's going to be happy to work half-time, 50% in the half terms. So really, really clear. This is the sort of clarity I want you to get to without being apologetic, you know. Now, the revenue stream she's identified, so that's the other part of it. The revenue streams are that she wants to have 2 one-to-one consultations on each of 3 days a week. She has in her mind that these would be in the morning. Might not work out that way. Give her time in between so that she's not feeling under pressure. So essentially she'd be seeing 6 clients. She'd have 6 sessions a week. She also wants to run an 8-week group program. She absolutely at this stage doesn't know how she's going to do it, but she likes the idea of doing that, likes the idea of hosting it in her house, running it very much inside the school term, and maybe it could be themed on different things, but 8 weeks in a group once a term. And to run a 30-day collaboration challenge. She's got, she knows the local Pilates studio. She's been a member there for a long time. The owner has been waiting for her to qualify. They know they're going to be able to do something together. Haven't really discussed what it is, but let's just say she runs one 30-day online program with the help of the studio once a term. So that still gives her all her holidays free and fulfills those targets. So what we want to now do is convert that into numbers. And this is where it gets interesting. And if you can follow the model with your own numbers and just see how it pans out. And then you can change it if it doesn't give you the number that you want. So this is how we've calculated it. So we've taken the one-on-one programs first. We've said 6 client sessions a week. We've made an assumption that she's going to go in at an hourly value of £90. Now, my general guidance here on pricing is that, I should have said Sally's in the southeast somewhere, is that the minimum hourly value when you're working out program prices, when you're working out, you know, how to value your time, needs to be, the absolute minimum is £80 an hour for any practitioner anywhere in the country. You could be in the remote Highlands and Islands. You must not value your time at less than £80. When you put it into a program, it makes it, it means that you're not being directly compared head to head to somebody down the road who might still be offering sessions at £65. I don't know. But that's, you know, we've been working with practitioners now for over 6 years. We see the range of prices. We see what people are promoting, what they're successfully selling. And we're very confident in these numbers. So we just multiply that out. So we're doing 6 times 90, so that's 540 a week. Now remember, she's only working 40 weeks. So we're only multiplying it by 40. So we're getting a true annual number based on the number of active weeks that she's working. And we do the same. We've multiplied out the 8-week programs. We've made an assumption about pricing, very conservative. 195, 8 people on the program. She's earning about $15.60 per program, and she's going to run 1 a term. So that gives you another number. The online collaboration with a Pilates studio, we've been conservative. We've said you get 20 people on it. They pay 75. She gives a third of it to her studio. That still leaves her with £50 per person per program, and 20 people, that's £1,000 a program to her, times 3. So very simple numbers, but when you add all of that up, that's the total. And what we've done here to give an average monthly income is we've taken the whole total, but we've divided it by 12, even though we know she's got some months when she's not working at all, but it's just so that you know what that average number looks like. So to generate 29,000 a year, or an average of 2,440 a month, working just 30 hours a week and working only 40 weeks of a year, plus actually the half-term weeks, we haven't put that in, is pretty good, I would say. You know, it's a good start. And hopefully when you see this all worked out, it will feel encouraging. It might be that you want to see more clients. It might be that you don't want to run group programs, but maybe you'd like to run some online ones, and maybe you'd like to run more online programs. So you can, you know, switch it up, but you can see the difference it makes adding additional revenue streams. And, you know, the unsaid part about this is the group programs and the online programs are promoting and marketing and raising the profile of this practitioner in doing that. And it's very, very likely that participants in these two, some participants in these two, will become one-to-one clients up here. And it might be that some one-to-one clients up here, 6 months, 9 months later, will come back for a refresher and take part in one of these. So it's a very nice, that shows you why it's useful to have more than one revenue stream where they feed each other. So this is an example, a financial model, and the thinking through how you work this out. Hopefully, you know, will help you populate your own business plan, you know, financial spreadsheets with something based on reality. And then I know you've got to look at what happens in year 2. So very often in year 2, what you'll do is you'll scale up the things that you enjoy, and maybe scale down or keep the same the things that you don't enjoy as much. Or you might bring in another revenue stream. So in Sally's example, you know, she might decide she's ready, she's got some capacity, and she'd like to consider, you know, moving into corporates. Maybe her children have got older and she's got a longer school day. Maybe that makes sense. So that can be factored in and added to the model and recalculated. So if you're completing a formal business plan, which many of you are, I know, as part of your assignment, now we need, once you've done this way, this thinking, now you can go in and populate the formal bits with more meaning and bring it to life. So your executive summary comes much more to life. You can include your elevator pitch or your marketing mantra in that. You can use your ideal client definition when you're talking about the market. And the market research is more focused. You know, it's looking at what it is that your ideal clients need and what they're interested in. And the marketing strategy also becomes more focused, because all you need to do is identify the best ways of engaging directly with your ideal clients. Not doing this wide trawling out there somewhere in social media world or advertising world where, you know, you're desperately trying to find someone who's going to get caught in the net. You're being much more specific. You're just focusing on your marketing strategy, working in the areas where your ideal clients are hanging out. You know, when you know who they are, you know their behavior, you know the kind of things they're doing, what sort of websites they look at, what Facebook groups they might be part of. And competitor analysis becomes interesting, because actually there's nobody really doing what you're doing. You can look at all the other nutritional therapists in the area, but you know, you could in many ways discount them as being direct competition, because nobody's providing the service that you are directly marketing to that particular ideal client group and promoting your services in the way that you're doing it. And then you've got the operations, the delivery mechanisms, how you're going to do it, where you're practicing from, what your insurance situation is and all of that. And the pricing and costing, what I would say to you here is really think in terms of programs. I know we haven't taught you that, and it's another big area, but if you can conceptualize that the way forward is not to sell your time by the hour, but to sell it in programs, packages of your time, solution-based programs and packages, then you will find that it works better. So when you set this up and you get going, right from the beginning, not wait for 6 months, but right straight away, it's important to track your progress. And you can track just some simple things. I think it's better to track some simple things than actually have a more complex tracking mechanism that you don't keep up to date. So a simple tracking system where you're tracking the actual number of client sessions that you've got a month. You might also track other client activity like talks, collaborations going on, group programs going on, and then track gross revenue per month. That's actual money coming into your bank account. And just an aside, you must set up a separate bank account for your practice so you can keep track of it more easily. And I'd like you to also consider tracking how many hours you're spending on marketing, because it's the thing that when you start to get busy with client work, it's very easy for that bit to get squeezed. And then what happens is you go through a quiet patch again and you get back into the cycle of feast and famine rather than consistent inquiries and revenue. So keeping an eye on how many hours you're spending marketing is a really good part of tracking progress. Okay, so that's really the part about your business plan and bringing it to life and focusing on some really key important considerations and then expanding them out into the format that's needed for your particular application of your business plan. But I also want to just deal with the issue about what gets in the way and why sometimes all of the plans that you make do not actually get realised. Why is it? What gets in the way? And we've noticed a few trends in the time we've been working with people. And these are the trends. Most students, most practitioners even, don't have a roadmap, which really means they don't know what to do and in what order. They don't know what the priorities are. And, they feel a bit overwhelmed and try and do a lot of everything and maybe, get stuck. Many practitioners and new students just about to graduate have little voices, have limiting beliefs that say, but you don't know enough yet. What makes you think you can change people's lives? Or who would buy a big program at £1,000 from you? Who would pay that much to see you? They're all limiting beliefs, and a lot of the time they're running the show. And the third set of things that get in the way once we've left college and we're out there on our own is the feeling of being on our own with no real accountability and, feeling a little bit scared and nervous really about, am I doing the right thing? So those three things, not knowing what to do, not having the right mindset, tripping yourself up, and feeling isolated without community support are the three things that contribute to self-doubt, and that keeps you stuck and is paralyzing and can lead to you thinking even, questions like, well, am I really cut out for this? We do meet people who have been, trying for the first year. They might be, a year, 18 months post qualification, and they've been in really a downward spiral from when they graduated, allowing these frustrations to really take hold. And it's very sad when we see that. And the answer, the solution, the antidote to that is doing the right things to create the confident nutritional professional. Because the common link between those that are successful and those that are not is confidence. When you know what to do, when you have the right mindset and you've got community support around you, you will be confident. And that's when you become unstoppable. So it's confidence that actually makes the difference. And so we need those three, vulnerabilities to be filled in order for the confidence to get to the level where, you know, it's unshakable. You know, you just have this very strong inner unshakable confidence, and then you're definitely on your route to success. Oops, I've gone the wrong way. So our student program, our Business Activate program for students, is all about creating the confident nutrition professional. It's about building the foundations and getting all your ducks in a row. So essentially what we have put together in the student program, we have curated the core foundational content that you need as the basis, as a foundational starting point that is necessary for you to get off to a good start. So it's not our full business growth program. That would be overwhelming, that would be too much, and you know, you probably feel that you're not able to make use of it all. But we've curated this very simple pathway through the key foundations, and that's what we want to present to you. That's how we can help you make this transition into practice a successful, seamless and enjoyable process. We have 5 activators in the program, and they're listed here. So they include the business strategy and monthly mentoring. So that's when you get support through a mentor and through group support. So it's a combination of 2. You also have the opportunity every month to join a different 4-week training program. We call them training programs, they're in-action programs. They take the form of a 1-hour webinar. You join a Facebook group for the purpose, and you work through some content. And these are the sorts of topics we cover: business essentials for students just transitioning, mindset for business, defining your ideal client, winning websites, and there are a few others that we include in the student program as well. And the commitment is that you would need to spend just 1 to 2 hours a week to pick up on this, to put the layers of learning and thinking together, so that when you're ready, probably September, October, you've done a lot of the groundwork. So it's laying the foundations. We also would give you access to our training academy that has got lots of other training material in there if you want to supplement what you're doing. You get invited to our 1-day live event in London, which is called Mindset for Business. We've got 2 dates for that. We've got a May date and a September date. And of course, you join our community. So the great thing there is that you're surrounded by people at different stages of growth and progression. You'd also have access to the wider group, the wider Zest for Life group of successful practitioners, so you can see what they're doing and what's working for them. And this is how it works. So the Business Activate program runs from April to October, roughly. There is a joining fee, but we have reduced that significantly. So the joining fee for you now is only £95. And the monthly direct debits payable in each of the months, April to October, assuming you join in April, is £165. Then in October, we're assuming by then you are qualified, you've got your certificates, your insurance, everything's ready to go. And you're then able to join our business growth program, which gives you access to everything. And the most exciting part about that is you get access to all the resources, the ready-made, done-for-you resources, marketing materials, food plans, challenge programs, whole range of things that are ready for you to go. Since you're, when you're ready, that is then made available. And the pricing and the monthly support options will vary depending on the level of support that you need at that point. So how do you find out more about it? Well, we would invite you to book your free business call with us. It's a 30-minute call. It's about really getting clear about your pathway forward. You can ask us questions about the business plan. We want you to get excited about what's possible. And of course, we'd like to talk to you about the program and whether it's suitable for you, and whether you'd like to join us. But, the opportunity is there for everyone. There is no obligation. We really genuinely want to help you through your last few months in your training. So, please do book the call. And I just want to finish off with some words from our 2018 students. So they have now been with us coming up for a year. And these are their own words, and I'll just read them out. So Alison, she was actually, she was class of 2018, not 2019. She graduated last year. So she said, the key thing that Zest has given me is a clear and much needed direction in terms of focusing on who I want to see and how I want to see them. In other words, the ideal client work, guidance on packages and pricing, and marketing advice have been invaluable. I've also really benefited from the coaching tools, which was actually what drew me to Zest in the first place. I've started to use them with my clients, and the response I have got has been very positive. It's lovely to benefit from the experience of other practitioners in a supportive and very generous environment. The business days are a perfect case in point. So Alison is really highlighting the community aspect of it, but also the how-to aspect, you know, getting clear direction on how to do certain aspects of the business. And then this is Yvonne. She's a CNELM final year student, and this is what she had to say. In my year zero, her setup year, and she was doing this while she was studying, I have found being accountable to my coach a great motivator. The comfort of being able to bounce off ideas, consider the tried and tested suggestions from my coach is priceless. Zest for Life cares about your success as a practitioner. They literally hold your hand through all the stages of setting up, running and growing your business. Without Zest for Life, I would not have known where to start from, and as such recommend you to consider joining this supportive organisation no matter what stage of business you are at. So that's just two of our students from last year. This year we are planning to run two groups of students. So there are spaces for two groups of 6 to 8 students to join us. And you know, my final advice here is, some of you might be thinking, well, I'll just do all of this in October. I don't want to do it now. Let me do it in October. We really highly recommend that you don't take an extended break. And the commitment needed to be part of this program is only small, 1 to 2 hours a week. So what we want to suggest is that you start now, and that way you enjoy a smooth transition. You can, you know, very slowly and gradually be putting your ducks in a row so that you're in a great position to take advantage of, you know, being fully qualified in September and October, and be ready, you know, to actually get your marketing messages out there and really start to be a practitioner and see clients. So thank you very much indeed for being with us, and I will be sending you an email alongside following this webinar with the direct link and an invitation to join and to book a call. That's the starting point, to book a call with us. We really thank you for joining us today, and we're really looking forward to speaking to you. All the very best with the remainder of your studies, and we're so delighted that you're going to be the new generation of nutrition practitioners, and we so need more of you. Thank you very much indeed. It's been my pleasure.